Welcome back. Today, we're taking a look at a financial decision that millions of people make every single year. It's fascinating, but honestly, it's also kind of terrifying. This is the explainer on the chain letter of negative equity. It takes something we all think we totally understand, buying a car, and just completely flips the script. Let's jump right in.
So, to really understand this invisible monster, we first have to completely shatter a common illusion. Society, the ads we see every day, they all tell us that a car sits firmly in the asset column of our lives. But the data? The data is uncompromising. Your car is not a solid asset. Nope. It's actually a constantly depreciating bill. And shifting your perspective to see it exactly like that, as a compounding bill that constantly drains value, well, that changes the entire landscape of car buying.
Okay, let's dive into this. Negative equity. It's a clean, almost clinical-sounding financial term, right? But what it actually describes is a state of being completely upside down. It simply means you owe more money on your car loan than the actual physical vehicle sitting in your driveway is worth. Literally, if you tried to sell it today, you'd have to write a check to the bank just to hand the keys over to someone else. It's this mathematical deficit that sets the foundation for the absolute disaster we're about to map out.
The source material uses this brilliant analogy to describe how this deficit behaves in the real world. They call it the chain letter. Remember chain letters? They arrive with this grand promise, but mathematically, they rely entirely on a constant cycle of pushing the burden down the line, which guarantees a loss for anyone caught at the end of it. Well, in the world of auto finance, the promise is that shiny, brand new car. The dealership makes it seem like this wonderful fresh start, but just like a chain letter, by pushing your old debt into a new purchase, you aren't actually upgrading your financial situation. You are mathematically guaranteeing a much, much larger loss.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the specific number where this disaster usually begins: $4,000. In the context of a modern $30,000 or $40,000 car, a $4,000 deficit on your trade-in, it just looks like a minor speed bump. You probably think, hey, I can handle rolling that over, no big deal. But the data actually shows this is the exact seed of a massive compounding hole.
So let's break down exactly how this trap gets constructed right there at the dealership desk. It happens in 3 perfectly orchestrated steps. Step 1, you bring in your old car to trade it in. You're tired of it, you want something new. Step 2, they appraise it, discover you have that $4,000 in negative equity, and then they offer to just, roll it over into your new deal. Sounds super convenient, right? But then comes the fatal move. Step 3, to make sure your new monthly payment doesn't look absolutely terrifying, they take that combined debt, the new car plus the old debt, and hide it inside a massive 72-month loan. 6 whole years. The financial hole is fully dug before you even smell that new car scent.
Stretching that rolled-over debt across 72 months is always framed by lenders as a solution. It makes the monthly payment fit your budget today, but the research is explicitly clear here. This is not a solution. It is the active creation of a silent compounding hole. Just think about the math happening in the background. You're now paying interest on a car you don't even drive anymore, combined with the interest on a new car that is depreciating the literal second its tires hit the street. The term compounding hole is absolutely perfect because the debt isn't just sitting there, it is actively growing relative to the plummeting value of the new asset.
And this brilliantly illustrates that the real danger isn't even just the money, it's the mechanics of the trap itself. It all stems from a single choice, saying yes to rolling over the debt, and it relies entirely on being completely hidden within an expansive 72-month timeline. Because the timeline is so stretched out, it creates this silent compounding momentum. You don't feel the financial weight of this decision on a random Tuesday afternoon 3 years into the loan. You just pay your monthly bill, totally unaware of the massive momentum of negative equity building up right beneath your feet.
So the crucial point is, how many people actually fall into this? Well, a staggering 28% of buyers end up trapped in this exact compounding hole. We are talking about more than 1 in 4 car buyers who are currently underwater. They're actively participating in the chain letter, carrying the ghost of their last car's debt inside the literal shell of their current car. They are mathematically trapped in a cycle that's incredibly difficult to break without a massive cash bailout.
Let's move on and see how this builds. How do 28% of people end up here without even realizing it? Well, because the trap is entirely invisible. When you walk into a dealership, you're focused on the shiny paint, the high-tech dashboard, the smell of the leather. You're completely focused on the tangible reality of the vehicle. But the financial reality, the negative equity, that has no physical form. It doesn't make a sound, it doesn't rattle when you hit a pothole. It just sits there, completely invisible.
Being underwater is invisible because no number turns red until you try to leave. I want you to take a second to really absorb that. Your car's dashboard has warning lights for low tire pressure, for engine issues, but it definitely doesn't have a red light telling you your negative equity is compounding. The trap remains completely hidden. The spring stays coiled until the exact moment you try to trade it in. Only when you try to leave does the trap snap shut, and suddenly that invisible math becomes a very real, very red number on a dealership contract.
Which brings us to the ultimate question that all this data forces us to ask ourselves. Next time you find yourself at a dealership, sitting across that desk, staring at a piece of paper with a shiny new set of keys dangling just out of reach, what will your math look like? Will you be the one breaking the chain by facing the true cost of your current vehicle? Or will you succumb to the illusion, roll over the debt into a 72-month compounding hole, and pass the letter on to your future self? The numbers are crystal clear, but the choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes on the data, and I'll see you next time.